But yeah, Trump is not going to be serving a prison sentence. Let's be real. Not to make you, not to shit on your fun, but let's get started. Trump found guilty on all 34 counts in historic New York criminal trial. Let's take a fucking
history,
look,
249
baby.
years of American presidents, and never has anything like this happened before. Historic, unprecedented felony conviction of Donald Trump, the 45th president of the United States. It happened a little after 5 p.m. Eastern time. The jury read its verdict.
I'm so goddamn lived up today, dude. Let's fucking go, baby. Let's fucking go, baby. It's hard not to be lived up in a moment like this where, like, the criminal justice system just works. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like it's that, older athlete that you love, I guess, or that you once loved, who is no longer performing in the way that he does, but then he goes on a fucking 20-point tear or something, and you're just sitting there like, yeah, that's the glory days. Like, he's back. That's how I feel right now about the American criminal justice system. Like, it sucks dick. It's awful. It's white supremacist. It works to do so much bad. But then sometimes it gets it right. You know what I mean? Yeah, like a D-Rose 50-point game. You're like, it's never going to happen again, but I'm glad that it happened one time. And it made me feel like it's the motherfucking glory days. Now, obviously, for the American criminal justice system, that analogy doesn't work that well because I don't think it has ever been good. But, you know, it's the theory of how this prospect was supposed to be good. Theoretical democracy. Like the theoretical D-Rose. The bar's in hell, but we reached it yesterday. Yeah. I'm glad we cleared the bar. Let's take a look. Let's enjoy it.
Generating headlines instantly like these behind me all around the country and the world. And while the verdict means that Trump will run for president, this time as a convicted felon, that does not mean he will serve prison time. That's worth noting right up front. Many observers, in fact, call that unlikely. The former president was found guilty of all 34 felony counts of falsifying business records, all tied to a hush money payment made to adult film star Stormy Daniels in the run-up to the 2016 election.
The jury needed less than 2 days to make its unanimous decision. Trump planned.
I'm not going to lie. I was shocked. I can't believe it. 34. That's crazy. 34. That's crazy. Like, I thought they would surely find him guilty of some stuff, but 34 across the board, like everything. They hit him. They did the fucking full clearance aisle. That's crazy. Clean sweep. It's rigged, man. Shit is rigged. It's rigged. Nobody likes me in New York. It's rigged, folks.
Plans to appeal, and he remained defiant outside the courtroom where he was greeted by supporters and protesters. The guilty verdict is another first for the former president, who is also the first president to be impeached twice.
Bro's throwing up the fist like he's a political criminal, too. It's so funny. It's like, yeah, dude, it's Nelson Mandela. You watched him get arrested, okay? I forgot to run the 3-minute ad break. I'm running it now, by the way. Sorry, sucks to suck. Okay, let's continue. You should have subscribed already.
This morning, we'll have complete coverage of the verdict and what it could mean in November. Let's begin now with Robert Costa, who's been following the case from the very start. Bob, good morning.
Good morning. This verdict just the beginning of a new uncertain chapter of this campaign, fueled by former President Trump's grievance. And the sentencing will now come at a crucial moment. In July, just days before Republicans select him as their nominee.
Donald Trump left court Thursday a convicted felon and vowed to fight.
I'm a very innocent man, and it's okay. I'm fighting for our country. I'm fighting for our Constitution.
He's a very innocent man. What is this? Here's the Mandela tweet. Bro, how? Why are these people not embarrassed? Why are these people posting this shit? It got 10K likes, man. What is happening, bro? What the absolute fuck is happening? Yo, Twitter sucks, dude. Oh my Lord, how much you might think like, oh yeah, we saw the bottom. Okay? We saw the bottom. We saw the worst of the worst. It can't get any worse. It's like, nope, just kidding. How is this any different than fucking Facebook at this point? How the heck every time you're not live or doing an event or not covering the news or traveling, the craziest news happens? Yeah. I mean, he is the white man's Mandela, if we're being real. Putting together the best Trump conviction tweets. Yeah, we're going to look at all of that. We're going to do Hogwatch. We're going to do it all. Oh, my God, I'm so excited. And, oh, by the way, the Republicans are insane. Like, they are so unimaginably racist. They're so fucking out of pocket. Like, they're going absolute nutty mode with it. People are saying some of the worst things I've ever seen. Like, on the one hand, yeah, it's really fun to see like all the Debras and the Barbaras crying and shit because Donald Trump is going to jail, is what they think, even though he's not. But like, what a treat. What a treat. What a treat. What a treat. Thank you. Thank you to the criminal justice system for giving us this beautiful thing. Thank you, Alvin Bragg Jr. Thank you, Judge Merchant, or whatever the fuck his name is. Okay. Thank you to all the goats. Thank you to Jeff Tiedrick. Thank you to the Democratic Party. Dark Brandon strikes again. Gonna be real honest with you, Alvin Bragg Jr., you fucking did that shit. AJ, thank God I saved you from the zombie apocalypse. Thank you, David Piker. Okay. I mean, fuck it. Thank you to New York, the Boston of America. Thank you to New York City. Thank you to the jurors. Thank you to everybody. Okay. Bro yapping like he did it. I'm just saying, like, it's great. It's a joyous occasion. Thank you, Stormy Daniels, for having sex with Donald Trump, which is kind of gross. But hey, you know, get your money, queen. Get your money up, not your funny up, Stormy. Thank you to a friend of the show, Michael Cohen. Mea culpa, obviously. All right, let's keep going.
12 Manhattan jurors decided the former president's fate, deliberating for more than 11 hours over 2 days, reaching a verdict late yesterday and finding Trump guilty on all 34 counts. Inside the tense courtroom, Trump looked straight ahead as the verdict was read, a blank expression, then stared at each...
Dude, let's run that back. That one is not the best one. The one with his mouth open, is that real? Or is that fake?
Straight ahead as the verdict was read, a blank expression, then stared at each juror as they confirmed the verdict one by one.
This was a disgrace.
Trump was convicted of falsifying business records related to a $130,000 payment made to adult film star Stormy Daniels in the lead-up to the 2016 election to keep her quiet about an alleged sexual encounter. Earlier Thursday, the jury reheard crucial testimony from former National Enquirer publisher David Piker and Trump's former fixer Michael Cohen. The defense called him the greatest liar of all time. Cohen weighed in late Thursday.
It's accountability. It's exactly what America needs right now.
Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, who brought the historic case, also spoke last night, saying Trump had been treated like any other defendant.
Our job is to follow the facts and the law without fear or favor, and that's exactly what we did here. The only voice that matters is the voice of the jury, and the jury has spoken.
Trump's lawyer, Todd Blanche, said the trial was flawed from the start.
Because of
I did my time, that's fine by me. If you dance with the devil, it's gonna go down. Tell the truth, it's now or never. Oh, baby, don't you lie to me. Oh, baby, don't you lie to me. This is my miracle. It's coming on down, and you know where I'm gonna bring it on down, bring it on down, bring it on down.
It's so good. It's so goddamn good. Woo! This is my mea culpa.
If you dance with the devil, it's gonna go down. It's now or never. You can feel it all around. You can feel it all around. This is my mea culpa.
Michael Cohen does nothing in his podcast that deserves this kind of an intro, okay?
Oh, baby, don't lie for me. If I tell you my story, don't cry for me. I did my time, that's fine by me.
It's my mea culpa.
My mea culpa.
Like, There is nothing that happens on this podcast that deserves this hard of an intro, okay? Is it an original song just for the pod as well? Yes, bro, yes. This is his unironic intro banger, okay? This is my mea culpa. Might be worse than Northwest as Simba. Okay, chill. Nothing, you're wrong. He gives us nothing but the truth. Yeah. Does he play the whole thing before the episode? I don't know, but like, this is lib porn saying guilty after every charge. Yeah, dude, this is like, liberals are nutting everywhere, okay? And to be honest with you, they deserve it. It is a worthy nut for them. Good luck to all the liberal. Check in on your family. Check in on your MSNBC, CNN watching parents, okay? They probably had the craziest sex last night. You might have a brother or a sister coming out in 9 months, okay? Like, I'm sorry. Your fucking boomer ass parents nutted, okay? They nutted like they never have before. I know it's hard. It's hard to think about, but you know who else was hard? Your dad. Your New York Times op-ed reading dad. That's who was hard last night, okay? Wrong, my parents are old. You think that's stopping them in this joyous moment? In this joyous occasion? You're about to have, you're about to have the next baby boom created by the boomers with just a shit ton of children named Alvin, children named Bragg. Okay? You don't understand. This is like Albanians fucking naming their children. This is like Albanians naming their children Tony Blair or Bill Clinton.
Everything around the lead up to this trial, it made it very difficult for the jury to evaluate the evidence kind of independent of what they knew coming in.
Trump faces up to 4 years in prison, but could be given probation with no jail time. Judge Juan Merchan announced he will sentence Trump on July 11th, 4 days before the Republican National Convention. Less than an hour after the verdict, Trump's campaign was fundraising off it, claiming he is a political prisoner, after he said he'd
that boy got $36 million, I think, or 39. I can't remember the exact number, but they got $30+ million that they raised in one day, which, you know, not enough.
Out toward Election Day.
The real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people.
Joining Bob on set is Caroline Polisi, a criminal defense attorney and a lecturer in law at Columbia Law School. Good morning to both of you. Caroline, I want to start with you. The real verdict, Donald Trump says, will be on November 5th. If he becomes president again, I think some voters on both sides will ask, is he going to be in jail while being president? Is jail time on the table here?
It is on the table. I would say highly unlikely to
Let's
that.
go. Shh, don't say that. Shh. Don't say that. Don't say that. Think about it. Think about it. Think about how sick that would be. I'm just saying. Think about it.
That question, 34 felony counts, each one of which does carry with it the possibility of up to 4 years in prison.
Doesn't the judge get to decide, or am I dumb? Yes, this is entirely up to the judge now. The thing is, however, there's very little likelihood. Because, like, once again, the type of offense and also him being a first-time offender, like, and also him being the fucking president previously and most likely the president again, like, because there's a logistical complication that many people are not even considering, or maybe some people are considering, which is that a president, if you jail them, they have lifetime Secret Service. So, like, what? Is he going to have lifetime Secret Service in jail with them? You know what I mean? These are, like, genuine questions. These are truly unprecedented moments. It's not like he's a... The thing is, he didn't, like, I guess, do extrajudicial murders that are outside of the scope of the presidential powers. You know what I mean? Because he did do extrajudicial murders. That's what presidents do, especially post-Obama. But, like, he didn't do it in a non-presidential way. Like, it's not like he fucking went up to a random person and just, like, domed them. In a situation like that, I feel like it would be different. But this is not. This is a first-time felony offense for you know, I guess betraying the voters' trust, or like lying to voters, hiding hush money payments, mismanagement of campaign funds, or directing Michael Cohen to mismanage campaign funds, and keeping a secret from the broader electorate. Ironic enough, because, like, clearly they wouldn't have given a shit if they knew, and many people now know, and they don't give a shit, obviously. So,
no mandatory minimum, meaning there no jail time, could also be a sentence. I don't see personally.
Hard line, to be honest. Real verdict, November 5th. Fire. You wish you had his presence, his aura, Lazan. Bro, you ain't even wrong. I do. He has phenomenal stage presence, bro. He does. It's true. This is a third world banana republic with a Gucci belt on, lol at rule of law. First of all, I love when fucking Republican dumbasses say stuff like that. I'm sure you're joking when you say that. But, like, no, it is actually good to fucking criminally prosecute former presidents. Like, we should get more of that. We should do it across the board. Also, the irony here is that, you know, everyone's doing the banana republic shit, but, like, there is nothing more European than investigating and maybe even subsequently arresting former leaders, okay? This is like, Europeans are probably watching right now going, first time? Really? Is this a first for you guys? That's cool. Like, that shit is, you can't even be a president or a leader of a nation state in Europe unless you're caught doing, like, insane corruption charges, or sometimes even, like, fucking, you know, 17-year-old prostitutes and stuff, which is insane to say. That's an insane word that came out of my mouth, an insane sequence of words. But that's like literally Berlusconi doing bunga bunga parties and saying, like, well, she's 17, but, like, she was hot though. Like, that's his defense. That type of shit. Yeah, in France, like with the former French president, Nicolas Sarkozy. Oui. So my point is, it's like, it's very European. We are definitely hitting, like, extreme levels of Europeanism, I guess. Like, I feel like there, we got to a level of European that, was previously, I thought, unachievable in the United States of America. We're Europe maxing in the worst ways possible. So hard that we're going to start, like, you know, shitting on the Romani people, even though there aren't that many of them here in America. Like, most people's racism is directed towards, like, black people in general here. But, like, we're becoming more like Europe, that we're just going to start fucking shitting on travelers and shit, you know?
Him being sentenced to prison time, the judge could impose a variety of different things. Home probation, for example. He could serve it in Mar-a-Lago with an ankle bracelet. He could serve it non-concurrently, meaning he could go on weekends, for example, to some sort of custodial sentence. I personally think there will be heavy fines and some sort of heavy probation associated with this sentence.
And he can be president while on probation.
Absolutely. There's nothing in the Constitution that prohibits it.
Bob, what are your sources telling you about how the former president, who did not react in court, is reacting behind the scenes?
There's a lot of uncertainty among former President Trump's inner circle because they believe your point that he's unlikely to maybe face jail time. At the same time, they were inside that courtroom. They saw Judge Juan Merchan lash out at one of the defense witnesses. Bob Costello cleared the courtroom. Tensions are high between the judge and the Trump legal team, so nothing's being ruled out by the Trump side. And that could really make Trump pay a huge political cost this summer. The Republican National Convention, where he's trying to get a jolt to get into the fall campaign. Will he show up for that first debate? How will this affect his running mate? So many questions, so many variables for the presumptive Republican nominee.
Caroline, from a legal perspective, are there grounds for appeal here, and what's likely to be the outcome?
There absolutely are grounds for an appeal here, both on the legal side as well as how the trial played out. We talked a lot about the way this statute is, structured, that while the jury was required to be unanimous with respect to all elements of the offense, there was that underlying object crime of the New York State conspiracy to violate election laws, right? The $130,000 payment. And the unlawful means that was accomplished. The jury didn't have to be unanimous on that decision. Some constitutional scholars say that there are due process issues with that in terms of a defendant being put on notice with what exactly he or she is being charged with. That could take years. I always refer to the Harvey Weinstein verdict, which was in this state as well, 4 years from conviction to being overturned. It's a long road. The wheels of justice move slowly, but we'll get started pretty quickly.
Any chance of the delegates that the RNC may revolt and hold their votes? LOL! Are you crazy? No. Fuck no. One of the most prescient sentiments ever expressed by Donald Trump was when he said he could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and these motherfuckers would still vote for him. Okay? That is real, bro. That is one of the realest things he's ever said. Because they would. They'd vote harder. They'd be like, bro, what kind of baby did he shoot? I bet that was a libtard baby. I'd shoot a baby too. I shoot my own baby for Donald Trump. Are you fucking kidding me?
If you don't watch Fox News, here are 5.
It's so good. It's so good. God damn it, dude. Thank you to everyone that participated in this process to give us this beautiful fucking moment, dude. Republicans are just losing their fucking minds over just like literally baby shit. Now, this is one of those like unifying moments where like we're all a little liberal today. You know what I mean? I think this separates the boys from the men, okay? Like, I shit on the Democratic Party a lot. I'm going to shit on the Democratic Party in a little bit. You know I'm going to do that because we're going to talk about Israel, and the Democrats are in charge, and they suck. Having said that, however, absolutely nothing gives me more fucking pleasure than watching hogs melt the fuck down, okay? I mean, it's great. It gives me so much goddamn joy, okay? It's one of the very unique moments where I'm just like, oh, so good. Please give me more of this shit. Give me more, please. I love it. I fucking love that shit, son. Oh, it's so awesome. Especially because, like, these guys, right, the Republicans, they get everything they want, even when they're not in charge. They get things that they don't want that are still in the direction of things that they might want. You know what I mean? Like, all the anti-trans bills and stuff. It's like Republicans weren't even asking for it, and they still got it. You know what I mean? While the Democrats are in charge, mind you. So it's like, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal to watch them get, it's phenomenal to watch them mauled because they're such petulant little children that get everything they want. It's like the fucking rich kid on the block, the spoiled little fat kid who just like is always getting everything he wants, but then like sometimes he's not used to being told no, so he just like loses his fucking shit. It's great. It's fun to see.
With that, the Trump team has come out saying they're moving forward.
Beyond this moment, how does this set the stage for those next 3 cases, Georgia, Florida, and in the nation's capital?
Yeah, well, this one is different. It's unique because it is a state case. It is the only case that if he does become president again, he cannot pardon himself for. So that is a unique twist here. Many people are saying this is likely the only case that is going to come to an end, which it already has before the election. So I think it doesn't bode well.
You know, Bob, political conventions in recent decades have been kind of boring, perfunctory affairs, lots of ceremony, balloons, big speeches. But now we've got Donald Trump being sentenced just days before the Republican convention. What's going to happen in July?
Usually when there's a scandal, it causes a reckoning to happen inside the party. Think about Watergate in the 1970s with Richard Nixon. Republicans got uneasy about President Nixon's conduct. What did you see this time around? I stood in that park for 6-7 weeks for CBS. We saw red tie Republican after red tie Republican come there and show their solidarity with Trump, including the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. And we're seeing Republicans across the board saying they're sticking with the nominee, even though he's a convicted felon. That tells you Trump has a grip on power, and that's going to affect the entire campaign. Look for the Biden campaign still to bring up Trump's conduct, maybe not to get into the specifics of this case, but to raise issues about January 6th, American democracy, and Trump's conduct, and say, do you really want this person in power in the White House?
Bob Costa, Caroline Polisi, always great to have you both. Thank you very much.
Todd, thank you for being here. Why do you think the jury found Donald Trump guilty on all counts?
I mean, well, I don't know.
That's my lawyer, dog. I'm going to jail. That's my lawyer, dog. I don't know. Strong start, Todd. Strong start, Todd.
The jury,
let's run it
Todd,
back.
Todd,
Let's
thank
run
you
it
for
back.
being here. Why do you think the jury found Donald Trump guilty on all counts?
I mean, well, I don't know. I mean, it's a good question. I think
Is it, Todd? Is that a good question, Todd? Todd, you fucking suck, dog. 34? Bro, you had a perfect defeat. That's crazy, man. You had a perfect defeat. He's out here doing impossible things. 0 for 34, dude. That's crazy. That's crazy. I want to do more the basketball analogies. You know what I mean? It's just like, you got swept, son. You got swept. What happened?
Understanding why a jury reaches a verdict is something that every single trial lawyer in the country would love to be able to answer honestly. Look, a lot goes into a jury verdict that doesn't even include what happened at the trial. You know, the decisions that are made before the trial, the decisions that the court makes and that the parties decide about what witnesses to call, what evidence to put in. You know, so I think that at the end of the day, it remains true that if the word of Michael Cohen was not accepted at all, then you could not have convicted.
Bro, that shit was so stupid. Like, you have to do that, right? And I get it. For Donald Trump, he's not the best client because he's incredibly incompetent in doing crimes because he's kind of failed upwards always, right? So he is, in many respects, one of the worst clients to try to get off because, like, he's constantly going around pulling at Israel and being like, I did that shit. I love doing that shit. I'm going to do more of that shit. You know, fuck you. Also, the judge is anti-Semitic. Okay? If this is the Israel analogy, you know, he's just doing that all the time. He's like, no, I did that shit and I love doing it. Suck my dick. So it's hard. It's hard to defend Donald Trump. Having said that, okay, this is like the guy that's testifying already served a sentence for the crimes that he was directed to do by the guy who's being prosecuted in this situation. So your client, like, you can't just be like, how are you going to trust this fucking guy? I mean, he's a liar. He's a perjurer. He fucking lies all the time. Excuse me. It's like, yeah, bro, that's what happens when you're doing criminal conspiracy, okay? And I made an analogy earlier before, like last week, where it's like, if you have a mob boss sitting at a trial and you have a hitman that is already serving a prison sentence, you can't just turn around and be like, Your Honor, how can you trust this guy? He kills people. It's like, yeah, for him, for your client. He's killing people for you, for your mans. Of course. Wow, how can this guy be considered credible? I mean, he's killed people. Oh, man. That's the whole point, dude. That's why your client is currently being prosecuted. Like, what are we talking about?
President Trump and the jury convicted. So at the end of the day, they looked past what we thought were
Chapo take, yeah, dude. I have this take for a couple months now. Suck my dick, Chapo take. I didn't watch the latest episode yet.
Were fatal flaws in Mr. Cohen's story and his past, and they reached a guilty verdict.
Right, but it wasn't just the word of Michael Cohen. I mean, there was other evidence in this case, the documents. They wanted to rehear David Pecker's testimony. I mean, they took all of that into consideration.
Sure. No, look, of course the jury will take everything into consideration. That they were very serious. Look, this jury showed up on time every day. They were very focused on the evidence and on the...
I understand being cynical about Trump actually going to prison, but didn't Cohen go to prison for literally the same shit? What legal reasoning would the judge have for not giving Trump prison time? Because it's Trump. He's a former president. All of the things that I just described to you are the reasons why it would be so fucking nutty. It would be insane. It would be awesome. But that would be crazy for him to actually get a fucking jail sentence for it.
And on the testimony that came in, and there was a lot, but look, at the end of the day, it was still a case in our view, as we've been saying.
Yeah, also Cohen was brought up on more serious federal charges as opposed to Trump being brought up on the lowest class felony, class E for state felonies. Yeah. And even, you said it 24 hours before Chapo and yours was funnier. Normally I don't support you in chatter squabbles, but you did good. Thank you, Motorface, for defending me against my friends at Chapo Trap House, who are very funny, who I listen to all the time as well. Probably worse would be he lose the election and they make him do some form of house arrest. My coworker, who's such a smarmy fucking lib, is extra unbearable today, but today I can't, but I also can't blame him. Yes. Yes. This is their moment, dude. Come on. Come on. Libs have a moment today. Libs have a moment. They are right. I am wrong. Okay? I've downplayed it because I didn't think that 34 out of 34 W's was going to be posterized. Okay? And also, the Republicans are so mad. It makes me so happy. It gives me so much joy to see conservatives crying, being like, our democracy gone. Where is the law and order? This is a banana republic. Like, it's just fucking dope, dude. It's dope. I don't know. Clearly this shit is political, though. They can't attack Trump on policy because they kept all of his horrific policies, but he's powerful because people hate people like him, hateful people like him, and non-hateful people don't like the Dems. But nearly every president has done fucking crimes and bribes. Yeah, okay. Sure. Fair. I hope they try to fucking arrest Brandon. That'd be sick. This was my favorite tweet out of all the hogs. War. Bro, you are going to fucking war with your hairline. What the fuck do you mean war? It's crazy, man. Apologize to Alvin Bragg. Yeah, I saw this tweet and I agree with it unconditionally. Alvin Bragg apology form. Reason for behavior. Check. The media convinced his case was weak. I don't watch actual trials. I don't know legal ball like that. Mercury was in Gatorade. I was jealous of Alvin. I miss Robert Mueller. I will hereby respect Alvin Bragg, and I will not talk down on the future first ballot Hall of Famer. Okay? I owe you an apology. I wasn't really familiar with your game. To be fair, I don't have to make this apology because I have been an Alvin Bragg defender. Okay. I don't necessarily, because like I was a defender of Alvin Bragg. I just didn't, I just thought that this is irrelevant in the grand scheme of things, which it kind of is. But like ultimately, it's fun for the time being because it makes conservatives very mad. Everything that you guys have said, like everything that one chatter said personally about like, oh, all presidents are criminals. This is political. Yeah, so what, dude? It's great. Who cares? Is Jeff Tiedrick okay? Did he nut to death? Yes. He was warned. Real Donald Trump, we're coming. Watch out. Bionicle Army took his ass out, dude. He was first. He was the shit. Then Jack Smith seemed promising, and I kind of forgot about Alvin, but he was working. Yeah. He was cooking some shit up, dude. He was cooking some shit up on the sidelines. Again, white supremacy in display, okay? The black man is working hard, and everybody sees a white dude, and they're like, ooh, that's my guy. That's our real savior. Turns out, it's the black man all along, okay? It's white supremacy. It's the implicit, it's the biases that we have in our hearts that we don't even recognize. That's what caused everybody to undermine him, okay? Oh, your case is weak. Turns out, it's not so weak, is it? Okay, let's continue.
Soft bigotry that relied on testimony of conversations and interactions that took place 7, 8, 9 years ago, and certainly documents were.
Didn't realize Alvin Bragg was black. Wait, really? You didn't realize when Donald Trump was calling him like a savage or an animal or many different like dehumanizing things? Both him and also Fannie Willis too, who was also black. A thug. Kept calling him a thug. And also an anti-white racist. Also, that chatter basically revealed that he didn't watch The Walking Dead. My Walking Dead gameplay, which was very political, by the way, because AJ is a prominent character. Alvin Bragg Jr. is a very prominent character in the game.
Were part of the case, but the documents, the 34 counts were documents that really had very little connection to President Trump, but for the few checks that he signed. Look, I very much believe that the jury.
Dude, what is this argument, dude? What is this argument? He's still going off with this shit. It's like, yeah, dude, Michael Cohen just personally wanted to pay Stormy Daniels. Like what could it have been? Why did he do that? Especially after they had many conversations that pertain to Michael Cohen operating as a fixer for Donald Trump, specifically in the Stormy Daniels hush money situation. Why could he have done that? Like, what other reason could there be? Okay? No one watches your gameplay? That's wrong, little bro. Actually, my fucking Walking Dead gameplay was widely celebrated. So you're wrong on that front.
That the jury should have found President Trump not guilty. I mean, in my soul, I believe that, and I believed it for a year. I mean, I left my job to do what I did the past 6 weeks,
damn, son, he left his job to work for a dude who's not going to pay him, famously doesn't pay, and also on top of that, the entire world knows you as a fucking loser. 34 L's, dude. Posterized. Alvin Bragg put his nuts on your fucking forehead, dude. What happened? What happened? Damn, son. Imagine 0 for 34. I left my job. I'm not even going to get paid by my client. Woo! That just sucks, son. That is terrible.
My conviction around what happened today and what I believe the facts show, it remains the same.
I know you disagree with the outcome, obviously, and But do you accept that he did have his day in court and it was a jury of his peers that made this decision?
No, not at all.
Why not?
No, I mean, look, I think, and this is nothing that we haven't said repeatedly. We were indicted for.
We should pour one out for the real GOAT, okay? Thank you, HasanAbi, for sending me this. Taco Penis. Hey, how you fucking doing? He would have won. He would have at least gotten a couple of those off, dude. There's no way. There's no way Taco Penis goes 0 for 34. Okay? My GOAT. Alina Habba. Taco Penis. He had an all-star squad, dude. What happened? Yes, his name is Taco Penis. Joey Taco Penis. Also, who is this guy in the back? Sorry for zooming in on his face, but like there's this what's going on over here. I love this photo because he's like, hey. It's like you can tell he's going, hey, my name is Joey Taco Penis. How you doing? Hey, how you doing? I'm walking here. I'm doing fucking attorney shit. I'm lawyering here. How you fucking doing? Oh, yeah.
For conduct that happened in 2015, 16, 17, in a jurisdiction that it was very hard for us to get a fair trial, Caitlin. I mean, and I know the district attorney has repeatedly said it today, this is a bread and butter case. We do this all the time. That is not true. It's just not true. It may be that they bring these types of charges regularly, business records charges, but you cannot find another case in the Manhattan District Attorney's, in the history of that office, where they did what they did here, which is charge somebody for conduct that was 7, 8 years old, somebody's personal records, right? Not corporate records, it's personal records. So this is not, I don't think, I think it's naive to say that this is like any other case that we do. What we did in this case is what we do all the time. No. And maybe it's okay. I mean, they think it's okay they did it.
Well, because I think the response to that would be, well, it's also not every day that someone running for president reimburses his attorney who paid off a woman to keep her silent. And, you know, when you say about getting a fair jury, this is where Donald Trump, I mean, you know New York well. This is where Donald Trump chose to have his businesses and spent decades of his life until just recently. I mean, that's why the case was here. I think some people would say, well, that's ridiculous that a jury couldn't put their beliefs aside. You just talked about how hard they worked in this case. Don't you think that they put their political beliefs or biases or stereotypes aside to make a fair decision here?
I don't know what they did or didn't do, but listen, Caitlin, it matters, right? Like when 100, we did it in groups of about 100 when we picked that jury. Half the jury just walked out when invited to by the judge if they couldn't be fair and impartial. So imagine if you're standing before a group of your peers, right? That's what a jury system is supposed to be. So you're standing for a group of your peers, and half of them walk out before a single question is asked, just because they have an opinion of you that is so strong they can't be fair and impartial.
But these 12, to be fair, did not.
Well, they did not, of course, but no, that's not really the point. The point isn't that.
The point is, what if they did?
50 stayed. The point is that it's telling how many just walked out. And also the fact that President Trump did business in New York, that's not the law. The law doesn't.
What do you mean, dude? What the fuck? Bro, you can't even lawyer your way out of jury. You can't even lawyer your way out of this. You can't even lawyer your way out of a Caitlin Collins question. Like, what do you mean? Of course, plenty of people are going to be biased in either direction, mind you, against the former president. It's actually impossible to try Trump because some people have opinions about him, apparently. Yeah, I mean, law tip, jurors cannot walk out without being dismissed by the judge or by court officials. No, he's talking about when they're selecting a jury. Like, he's saying like it's shocking how many people had a strong enough opinion that they would not be able to accurately deliberate without their biases. You're not understanding what he's saying. He's basically saying we live in a society. Yeah.
And say, well, tough luck. If that's where you do business, then that's where you're going to be
Well,
tried.
he built his business here and he resided here. And I guess if you think, if you talked about the testimony and when this happened, well, why didn't the cross-examination of these witnesses or what you put forward, your defense, why didn't that work? Why did it still lead to this outcome?
Well, that's a great question. If you know the answer to that, tell me. I mean, look, I think that at the end of the day, I do think it comes to something that we...
Help me out here, Caitlin. I'm fucking starving. I'm sinking over here. Help me out. You got an answer?
Talk about a lot of times in our profession where there's a bias that you have that you can't get past. I mean, you say that this is where he built his business. That's true. Every single person on that jury knew Donald Trump, either as president, as candidate, from The Apprentice. And so I don't accept that this was a fair fair place to try.
Is that what you're going to? What's your main argument going to be in your appeal?
Look, I think there were a lot. That is certainly an argument. I think the timing of this trial and was really unfair to President Trump. There was so much publicity around the witnesses and around leading up to the trial that it just, our system of justice isn't supposed to be a system where every person that walks in the courtroom knows about the case. I mean, and it sounds
but
like
it's one of those cases where you can't avoid it. I mean, no matter what jurisdiction he's tried in, everyone knows Donald Trump.
The law doesn't say, but if you can't avoid it, tough luck, right? That's not what the law says. The law says that a person is entitled to a fair trial in front of a jury of their peers. And we just think that because of everything around the lead up to this trial, it made it very difficult for the jury to evaluate the evidence kind of independent of what they knew coming in. And we knew that, and that's not something that we've been screaming that from the rooftops.
Well, let's talk about, you said a few of your arguments on the appeal. When do you plan to file your appeal?
Well, there's a lot of, look, this is one step in the process, right? So we have motions due in a couple weeks in front of Judge Merchan, which we're going to vigorously fight and restate a lot of what I'm saying to you tonight and other things that happened during the trial that we think just made the trial unfair, including the testimony of Ms. Daniels. If that is not successful, then as soon as we can appeal, we will. And the process in New York is there's a sentencing, and then we appeal from there.
District Attorney Bragg tonight did not directly say whether or not they are going to seek jail time for Donald Trump. Do you expect that he will?
I have no idea. Look, there's a system in place that where you rely on precedent, and somebody like President Trump should never.
I do think this is unfair on Trump. Okay, dude, just like it's unfair at the top of the hour for those who are unsubscribed, right? That's what you're going to say. Come on. I'm not even going to look to see if you're actually trying to bait. I'm just going to hope that you're trying to bait, okay? Stop it. What is this? Hasi, you look so good in the group photo. Come on, man. Oh, yeah. Get better bait, okay? Clearly photoshopped. You made my head look fucking large on that. All right. I think it's very hard to be in neutral because he used to be the president and people will benefit or damage from his policy at all. Okay, guys, there's no way to fucking ever criminally convict or charge a motherfucking president then. Like, there's just no way to do that. You can't, there's no, we might as well just say, sorry, former presidents are basically God kings. Like, you are going to still have to achieve some level of impartiality, which I suspect that's the reason why they have lawyers that specifically go through hundreds of jurors in the jury process, in the jury selection process. Okay. Like, it's ridiculous. Oh, well, sorry, we just can't do that. We just cannot do that, no matter what. They're God Kings. Your drip yesterday was really good. What are we doing here? Huh? What are we doing? What am I doing here? Am I here just to suffer? Huh? Am I here not to celebrate joy, this joyous occasion? I'm here to serve you the 3-minute ad break at the top of the hour and tell you that at the top of the hour, there's a 3-minute ad break. And if you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe. But beyond that, I'm here to celebrate. You can also celebrate by getting gifted a sub if you're lucky. Here's the 3-minute ad break now. We're going to look at the POTUS tweet. Don't worry. We're going to get to all of that. We're going to get to the Israel stuff.
Face a jail sentence based on this conduct. And it would just kind of confirm what we've been saying all along. And a lot of people say that we're wrong and that we're missing we're missing key pieces. But if other 77-year-old first-time offenders would never be sent to prison for this conduct.
Judge Merchan will make that decision.
Correct. That's right.
Do you think the judge was fair throughout this case?
I think that there were times when we very much disagreed with what the decisions Judge Merchan made. I think there were times when we certainly appreciated that he was making decisions, but weighing both sides and making decisions based upon that. But at the end of the day, there were key decisions made before the trial started and during the trial that I don't want to use a fair or unfair, but that we think were not consistent with the law.
But you can't say if he was fair or not?
Well,
he ruled in your favor sometimes. He ruled against you sometimes.
Yeah, but no, I think just saying whether someone's fair or unfair is not really the question. The question is whether decisions that he made before the trial, in advance of the trial, with the omnibus motions, with the motions in limine, and then during the trial, were they right under the law? Was he right doing that? And that's where I think we have disagreements. We think there were a lot that were not.
Why did Donald Trump not ultimately take the stand here?
Well, that's a very personal question to him and to me, honestly. And it's a very difficult question. Of course he wanted to testify, and I don't say that because that's what he has said. He wanted to get his story out. I think the judge had made some decisions before the trial or the day of the trial started about what would be allowed to be asked of him by the prosecutors if he took the stand. And some of those questions were really complicated to answer because there's still appeals going on. And so there's a lot of decision points that go into whether somebody testifies. Ultimately, it's his decision, and he listened to us, and he relied on our counsel, and he reached a decision that he thought was right, which I very much agreed with.
So that means your counsel was for him to not take the stand.
I'm not going to tell you what my counsel was.
Well, you said he relied on counsel and he went with that decision and he didn't take the stand.
But ultimately, it was his.
Bro, the fact that he's stuttering against fucking Caitlin Collins is crazy. I totally understand why he got owned. Actually, like it almost feels like Donald Trump could make a genuine appeal here and be like, my lawyer was against me this whole time. He did not do an adequate defense.
It was his decision, and I never say, and I think colleagues and folks that you have on here hopefully agree with me, I never say to somebody, don't take the stand, right? That's their decision, and that's a decision that they have to make. But I want them to have they want them to know what will happen on the good and the bad if they do take the stand.
So no regrets on him not taking the stand?
Look, the verdict came down a couple hours ago. I don't know if I have any regrets about anything yet. I'm still thinking things through, and I think so is he, and so are everybody else around him. But at this point, I don't think that there was a conviction because he did not take the stand.
When he was leaving, one thing he brought up were the witnesses who were not called. And he was saying that there could have been witnesses.
Dude, this is unimaginably bad. This is unimaginably bad. I'm seeing why they lost so fucking hard, dude. God damn, if I'm this bad on camera, if I'm this nervous, I wouldn't just go on CNN, which is hostile territory to begin with. If I'm Trump, I'm not paying his ass anyway. You know what I mean? I already have a long track record of not paying people. Yo, is Trump actually broke? Who's this jabroni ass pansy lawyer? One, he is actually broke, but this is irrelevant to the point of contention here. The reason why he has this jabroni ass lawyer is because he has literally gone through half the lawyers in New York. That's why I joked about it previously, where it's like, first of all, you know your shit's fucked up when your lawyer is a Catholic, okay? Joey Taco Penis. Like, you're out here hiring Italian lawyers, like, you're fucked. You're fucked. That means you literally went through every other lawyer. And he even went through Joey Taco Penis, too, and arrived at this fucking guy.
That would have helped make the case. We never saw Keith Schiller, Alan Weisselberg, some key figures here who got brought up a lot. Why didn't the defense call any of these witnesses?
Well, because we happen to live in America and we don't have the burden of proof. And so there's not, that's not the point. That's a question that is a loaded question that should not be asked of a defense attorney or a defendant. The question that we asked the jury, and they ultimately obviously got passed, is why the prosecution didn't call those witnesses, right? You, as a defense attorney, you don't go into a case saying, I'm going to fill the holes of the prosecution, right? And Keith Schiller and some of the other witnesses that were not ultimately called.
Is the shit Joe just posted on Twitter News, or is he just saying some bullshit? It's the latest POTUS tweet? Is it about a ceasefire? We're gonna get to there. We're gonna get to that in a second.
Should have been called. Should have been called by the prosecution, and we asked the jury to take a hard look at that. I don't know whether they did or not, but they convicted.
Todd Blanche, I have a few more questions for you. If you'll stick around, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back. Much more with Donald Trump's lead attorney in a moment. The presumptive Republican nominee, now a convicted felon, guilty on all 34 counts today in his unprecedented hush money trial.
Bro, convicted felon Trump goes kind of hard. Like, convicted felon president goes hard, dude. It does. God, America is in a state of such disrepair. It's awesome. It's cool. Fuck it. YOLO. We're just having fun with it at this point. Empire collapsing. And honestly, you just got to have fun with it.
Here in New York. His lead attorney, Todd Blanche, back here with me. Can we just talk about what it was like in the room today? Because our reporters, everyone kind of thought, reporters included, that no verdict was going to be reached. The judge himself seemed to think that. He went to go get the jury, and then he came back with a verdict note in hand. I mean, you and Trump had been sitting there talking, laughing, and then obviously realized a verdict was coming. You were obviously surprised?
Yes, very surprised, but that's what juries do. You know, everybody that's been talking for the past 2 days about what they thought maybe a note meant or what a jury was thinking or how long they would deliberate, you never know. You never know. And I think there have been no notes really all day. And as 4:30 came, we were going to just go home and start again tomorrow. And the jury, sent a note, said they reached a verdict. So it was surprising.
Bro, he's just like, womp, womp. Like, his attitude is like, his attitude about this whole thing is so funny. He's just like so unimaginably defeated, which he is. He is literally defeated. He was defeated in the marketplace of ideas, okay? His ass was defeated in the court, obviously. But like, have some fucking composure, big dog. What the hell are we doing here? It's crazy.
Surprising, but it wasn't surprising like, oh my gosh, I'm shocked. We had been prepared.
But were you prepared for a guilty verdict? Trump seemed to be telling people, from what I heard, he thought it was going to be a hung jury.
We were prepared for a guilty verdict. I mean, I don't know what people President Trump was saying that to, but of course our in our view, we were fighting to win the case, of course, but a hung jury would have been as close to a win as as we could have gotten. But we were prepared for a conviction. I think that was expected.
I think a lot of people are curious because we hear from a lot of former Trump attorneys what it's like to be a Trump attorney. How has it been for the last 7 weeks?
Listen, I hear former Trump attorneys talk on TV all the time as well. I have found the last 7 weeks to be I don't want to use cliches, but it's been everything that I would expect and want out of a client, out of someone who has really putting their life in your hands. It's been challenging. It's been rewarding. President Trump there's a persona that people have about.
What does hung jury mean? Is when one guy in the jury has like a really big penis. That's all it takes. All it takes is one guy that's like super big,
About him that is completely wrong. There's a persona that people have that is right in some ways too. It was the hardest in many people's lives. The hardest thing you do is go through a criminal trial, and he was. I was impressed, especially today, at the way that he carried himself and handled himself.
Well, there were moments, and I was in the court multiple times, where you would see you and Trump were often sitting next to each other, or the other attorneys, Emile Beauvais and Susan Nicholas. But Trump would, hit you on the arm, tap you on the arm.
Like the guy in the white suit in 12 Angry Men? Yeah, in the director's cut, in the extended cut, if you watch it, you'll actually notice that it's not one guy who has like a genuine disagreement with the rest of the jury, but it's actually the fact that he has a massive penis. Like, that's why the rest of the jurors have to listen to him, because he just whips his cock out. And then everyone is like, oh, fuck. Like, all of my convictions, I've now cast aside. Like, that's how it works. That's what he was looking for.
The arm, urge you to either object, or clearly was writing you notes and saying stuff. I mean, who ultimately was in charge of the defense strategy here? Was it you, or was it Donald Trump?
It was both of us. If there's a lawyer that comes in and says that they're in charge of their defense strategy, they're not doing a service to their client. Every decision that we made as a team, and not just President Trump and myself, but the whole team. And so, and again, every defendant, everybody who has their life on the line in history, will tap their lawyer every once in a while and say, hey, what about this? What about that? We not only did we get along during the trial, but we were on the same page about strategy and about what we should be doing and not doing. And it was, the one thing that I left with today is he impressed, hopefully, everybody that got to see what happened today, the way that he handled himself in the courtroom, hearing that 34 counts of guilty, the way that he handled himself really throughout the entire trial as somebody who is the Republican nominee, not campaigning, sitting in court all day. And I was right there with him the whole time, and I have no complaints about it.
But did it make your job harder?
He's like, I promise you he was not farting. Or if he was, and if he was falling asleep, it was because the trial was boring and his farts actually smelled really good. Oh my God, I'm so libbed up. I'm talking about Trump farting. That's like peak liberalism. It's just, I'm so Jeff Tiedrick coded today. It's not even funny.
And more difficult when he was constantly going after the judge, calling him corrupt, saying that he was so biased he couldn't breathe here. Going after.
That was awesome. When he said that, he's like, the judge is conflicted. He's so biased, he's conflicted.
The witnesses in this case until the gag order. I mean, he violated the gag order at least 10.
Why do I hate Trump so much? I love Trump. Are you kidding me? It's a love-hate relationship.
Times here in this case. Didn't that make your job harder?
I don't think it made my job harder. It's something that we had to deal with during the trial as a team, and understanding that there's a message that he needed to get to the people, to the American people, the people who are deciding who to vote for in November. And part of that decision has to be, he is being judged for this trial. And that's a fact. And so when folks get upset that he responds to what he sees happening and responds forcefully, that's because he's being judged by everybody. He's being judged on television, by voters, in newspapers. And so the fact that he says, this is my opinion, this is my view, is not something that I looked at as making my job harder. I accepted that as being part of this job, and that is what he will continue to do. Like, I don't think he's going to stop tomorrow morning. Like, he has to explain to the American people why this whole year in front of the Manhattan DA in this case was completely unjust.
But can you do that without attacking Stormy Daniels and Michael Cohen? I mean, there was one point where the judge had to use incredibly strong language with you because Trump audibly used an expletive when Stormy Daniels was on the witness stand.
When you say can you do that, you mean can you respond when
but isn't that
people are
inappropriate for him to have an outburst in court while a witness is on the stand?
First of all, I don't think an outburst is the right way to describe what happened. As you know from being in the courtroom, the courtroom has very bizarre acoustics, and there's times.
What is happening? It's the acoustics of the courtroom that made it seem like it, dude. He was actually super calm and collected.
You can't hear a thing, and there's times when voice carries, and it was absolutely not an outburst.
Well, the witness heard it. Stormy Daniels heard it.
I have no idea if that's true.
Her attorney told us that.
Okay, well, I that's the first that I'm hearing that, and I don't know that is true or false, but it was not an outburst. It was a reaction to, again, it's easy to sit here and throw stones and say, well, how come he said this? How come he said that? Why don't you go on trial for something that happened, I don't mean this you, I'm saying rhetorically you, for something that happened nearly 20 years ago, when you hear somebody saying something that you believe is demonstrably false, and you can't do anything about it, and you know there is a reaction that folks agree with or disagree with. President Trump, in my view, behaved in a way that I thought was exemplary for a defendant facing what he was facing in that environment, in that courtroom for the past 5 weeks. I mean,
you didn't think it was inappropriate when he came out and would rail against Judge Merchan and go after his daughter and other witnesses in this case?
He did not go after the judge's daughter after he was gagged.
After he was gagged? Okay. What about before he was gagged? God damn, dude. God damn. This is why I'm saying it's like kind of hard to be Trump's lawyer. This is why it's hard to be his lawyer, because he's like constantly going, I did that shit. Also, the judge fucking sucks. Also, we should probably maybe kill the judge's family. That's like, you can't do that. It's like Trump and Alex Jones. Chat is cooked. Why?
At all. And by the way, the defense went after the judge's daughter.
He was a registered Dem until 2023. He quit his job to start his own law firm and represent Trump. Oh my Lord.
In public filings. So you want me to say that it was inappropriate for President Trump to do something that I believed under the law required to be brought to the judge's attention?
Well, attacking her on his, obviously he has a massive following. Making a point in a court filing is different than making a point on Truth Social.
What's the point of a gag order? The judge does nothing when it's violated. I mean, dude, what is he going to do? You put Trump in contempt of court? I feel like that would literally break shit. Also, Trump, for the most part, did at the very least follow the guidelines of the gag order to a certain degree. Because once the gag order was initiated, Trump was held in contempt for violating the gag order, by the way. Wait, he didn't go to jail, though. They fined him. But the thing is, he, the gag order, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the gag order had boundaries that were set. He was fined 10 times, actually. The gag order had boundaries that were set that limited what he could say, specifically about the judge's family, specifically about the jurors, specifically about all the other witnesses, including Michael Cohen. But beyond that, I think he said it's fair play to what? Also at the quarter of the hour, there's a 3-minute ad break. Wait, what? I already ran the ad break. What are you talking about? The fuck? The judge can take his contempt of court violations into account during sentencing. 34 felony convictions. Stop whining about the process. Yeah, it's entirely possible that his lawyer is a chatter doing this for clout.
Why?
Is Trump going to be a prison abolitionist now? Yeah. Our prison's obsolete, folks. Many people are saying this. Many people are saying prisons are obsolete, folks. No one can be free until we're all free. I mean, no one.
I mean, I guess I question that. So the idea is that as a attorney, I'm allowed to make motions, put arguments in front of the judge. But if my client makes those same arguments to the people who are going to decide whether he should be president of the United States, somehow it's okay for me to do it, but he can't. I don't
it's
accept
different
that.
venues. I think there's
Sure,
a place to make your argument and doing it on Truth Social, attacking a private citizen.
Nobody reads the papers, right? That's the problem, right? So it's easy to say, okay, defense attorney, you can file those papers, and there's nothing wrong with that.
You're an attorney. I mean, you read those filings. We read those filings. Obviously, we talk about those filings. But on this overall, I mean, you are relatively new to the Trump team. Your life has kind of changed since you've become a Trump attorney. You've moved to Florida. You're now registered as a Republican. You used to work at a big firm.
Bro pulled the dying content creator exit strategy. Okay. I love that. Like when you're when you're a content creator and your relevance is waning, you just immediately start talking about trans people all of a sudden. Like he did that. Okay. Move to Florida. Start talking about like right-wing politics all of a sudden out of nowhere. It's a classic. Classic move, dude. Congratulations. You're fucking killing it. I can't wait. I can't wait for your stupid book to come out inevitably, and no one will read it.
From here, you're registered as a Democrat.
You'll have your right-wing Jesus pivot us on. No, I will not. Because guess what? I would rather just quit streaming in that situation, okay?
Do you expect to continue to represent Trump in this case and in the federal cases?
Yes, absolutely. Listen, absolutely. I'm going to Florida next week, and we have a motion to compel hearing in the case at the end of June, and we have a lot of work to do. We haven't been working on that case the past 6 weeks, and we are going to start fighting every day in Florida. We have briefing in this case, we have a sentencing in this case, and then we'll have an appeal. I have, putting aside changing my life, I think President Trump has put faith in me and my team, and there's a lot of great people that I work with. And as long as he has that faith, we're going to keep on doing what we're doing.
One thing about the Trump attorneys that we sometimes hear is whether or not they were paid after. It's always a point of contention. Obviously, Michael Cohen talked about it. Has that ever been an issue for you since you've represented him?
No, and I don't know what Trump attorneys, I mean, I know that it's a fun folklore to talk about that Trump attorneys don't get paid and whatnot, but I don't know who that applies to. But of course, President Trump pays his bills, and I am getting paid. And if my mom's listening, I'm getting paid. But that's not, I'm not.
This is a disaster, bro. He took he took the drug that makes you, instead of the drug that makes you dab Hamas, he took the drug that makes you answer every question, honestly, in a way that makes him and his client look worse somehow.
Of course, I don't know who that applies to, but of course, President Trump pays his bills, and I am getting paid. And if my mom's listening, I'm getting paid.
Like, he just openly admitted even his mom is worried. That's so funny. You know, his lib-ass MSNBC watching mom is like, why are you doing this? You don't have to do this. Please don't do this. This is like the fucking Always Sunny in Philadelphia lawyer, dude. Like, his vibes are almost damn near identical to the fucking... Hold on. Let me just pull this up.
I have something here that I need to read to you.
No, not this guy. The bad lawyer. What was the bad lawyer? Not Brian Unger. Uncle Jack the Molester. That one.
But that's not. I'm not alone. I'm not alone in that. It's not like I'm getting paid in the other. I mean, he has a lot of cases. He has a lot of lawyers right now, and I don't know if you're hearing something different, but the lawyers are getting paid.
Todd Blanche, quite a day for you. Thank you for coming in to join us on set tonight.
We are joined now by the star witness.
Okay. All right. Anyway, yeah, no, same voice, same vibe, same energy. Here it is. Trump voice. They're calling it prison abolition, folks. Complex. Prison industrial complex, they're calling it. Very disgusting. Very sad. I'm the first person to say, perhaps, that none of us are free until all of us are free. And you'll be hearing it more and more.
They're calling it prison abolition, folks. Complex, very complex. The prison industrial complex, they're calling it. Very disgusting, very disgusting, very sad, perhaps one of the saddest. And I'm the first person, I'm one of, if not the first person, to say perhaps that none of us are free until all of us are free. And do we like that? And we do. And we like it very much, very strongly, very strongly. No justice, no justice, no peace.
What if Trump converted to Islam in prison? Could he be redeemed? Yes. Okay, so let's look at, I mean, fuck Michael Cohen. Let's look at some of the reactions, okay? First of all, this was an incredible reaction immediately from Trump.
So it seems that there are a lot of witnesses, a lot of people that they could have called that they didn't call. Now, they didn't call them, obviously, because they would have been very bad witnesses for them. But take a look at the list. Because of the gag order, I won't go down into individual names. But you have a lot of big players, very big players that would have solved.
Like, here, he just looks so serious. And then you hear him talk. Here, he looks so fucking serious. And then you hear him talk, and all of a sudden, it's like an entirely different man. When he's mean mugging, he looks like a serious, competent lawyer. And then you hear him talk to Caitlin Collins, and you're like, oh, I get why it was a 0 for 34 type situation.
Their problem, or actually would have given us the win. We already have the win. If we had a fair judge, this case would have been over a long time ago. But a lot of key witnesses were not called. Look at your list. Look at the players. And you know who I'm talking about. You can take 5 or 6 of them. Why didn't they call those witnesses? They didn't call them because they would have been on our side.
Yeah, it is a solid legal argument to say the prosecution could have brought people in to help my side. Instead, they only brought people in to help their side.
And it's a shame. And in particular, one witness who's now suffering gravely because of what's happened, because of the viciousness of these thugs. The vicious people, what they've done to that person. And you know who I'm talking about. And they didn't call him as a witness. They didn't call anybody as a witness. And all these people they could have called and solved the problem.
Bro, you can't be calling people thugs no more. You're a convicted felon. 34X. It's just like, you know?
The other thing, the confusion is Nobody knows what the crime is because there's no crime.
Nobody knows what the crime is. No, they know. I think 12 people knew.
Nobody knows what the crime is. The DA didn't name the crime. They don't know what the crime is. That's what the problem is. It's a disgrace. This thing ought to be ended immediately. The judge ought to end it and save his reputation. Thank you very much.
We just went through one of many experiences where we had a conflicted judge, highly conflicted. There's never been a more conflicted judge. Now, I'm under a gag order, which nobody's ever been under. No presidential candidate's ever been under a gag order before.
Yeah, because no presidential candidate has ever been a convicted felon with an active court case. Like, well, what do you mean? Yeah, no shit, dog. Yeah, these are unique times. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, yeah, we know it's unique. We know it's a first.
I'm under a gag order, nasty gag order, where I've had to pay thousands of dollars in penalties and fines, and was.
Oh, by the way, he's like, here's the liberal reaction. I'm so happy I could cry. Guess he and Mother Teresa will be cellmates. Michael Cohen on MSNBC at 8 tonight. So glad the Phillies aren't playing. But here, let's hear let's hear how this was.
This jury finding Donald J. Trump guilty on the first 5 felony counts. Reading the rest as we are getting it from our court reporters.
Starting with count 6.
Count 6, guilty. Count 7, guilty. Count 8, guilty. And you'll see on the screen we're tracking ahead. Count 9, guilty. Count 10, guilty. Count 11, guilty. Count 12, guilty. Count 13, guilty. Count 14, guilty. Count 16, guilty. Count 17, guilty. Count 18, guilty. Count 19, guilty. Count 20, guilty. Count 21.
Yeah, I know he's not the first to run indicted or convicted. Obviously, the GOAT, Eugene V. Debs, literally ran from prison. That's my GOAT right there. Labor leader, socialist, 5-time presidential candidate. Ran the 5th election in 1920 from prison. He was a conscientious objector to World War I. He was convicted of sedition for a 1918 speech in Canton, Ohio, where he criticized the junkers of Wall Street and the government for arresting anti-World War I activists. His conviction was handed down a week after Schenck v. United States introduced the clear and present danger test, which affirmed that print or spoken word could not be restrained or punished unless it creates a clear and present danger of bringing about a substantial evil. The court did not consider whether Debs' speech posed a clear and present danger. During his 1920 campaign, he ran as convict number 9653. He garnered nearly 1 million votes, or 3.4% of the popular vote. And then, okay, the rest of it is, the rest of the list is not as great. Okay, but this is the coolest and the best, for the record. The rest of the list is, leaves much to be desired. Like Lyndon LaRouche was a conspiracist and a political extremist who ran for president 8 times from 1976 through 2004, first as a candidate for the now defunct U.S. Labor Party and later as a Democrat. He ran his 92 campaign from a prison cell after an 88 conviction for mail fraud and conspiracy to defraud the IRS by defaulting on more than $30 million in loans from campaign supporters. Oh my God, Larishites. Holy moly. Rick Perry, I did not know this. He was indicted in 2014 by a local grand jury following an investigation into whether he withheld millions of dollars in the office of the local district attorney, a Democrat. In 2015, he launched the 2016 presidential campaign, his second bid for the nation's highest office. But just 3 months later, he dropped out of the race after failing to convince the primary voters to give him a second look.
Another eloquent voice against World War Socialist Party.
Mark Ruffalo reads Eugene Debs's Canton speech, famous Canton speech, which we're not going to watch right now. Then obviously you have Joey Exotic, which I'm not even going to get into. Speak more on the Larishites law. No, I'm not going to do that. We have enough fucking weirdo, like MAGA communist type motherfuckers and Baba Vakian revolutionary communist as it is. There is no reason to talk about Larishites on this broadcast, especially on this wonderful libbed up ass day. Okay?
With jail. Think of it. I'm the leading candidate. I'm leading Biden by a lot, and I'm leading the Republicans to the point where that's over. So I'm the leading person for president, and I'm under a gag order by a man that can't put two sentences together, given by a court, and they are in total conjunction with the White House and the DOJ, just so you understand. This is all done by Biden and his people. And maybe his people, more importantly. I don't know if Biden knows too much about it.
He looks like shit, by the way. I mean, obviously, normally, he doesn't look great. Like, he doesn't look that great in general. But I'm not going to lie. Right now, he looks extra shitty. He's looking rough, dude.
Because I don't know if he knows about anything. But he's nevertheless the president, so we have to use his name. And this is done by Washington, and nobody's ever seen anything like it.
Nobody.
So we have a judge who's highly conflicted. You know what the confliction is. Nobody wants to write about it, and I'm not allowed to talk about it. If I do, he said, I get put in jail. So we'll play that game a little bit longer. We won't talk about it, but you're allowed to talk about it. I hope you do. Because there's never been anybody so conflicted as this. As far
I don't know why he keeps saying the judge is conflicted, because if he's like operating, if the judge is operating with like bias, then why would he be conflicted? That part I don't understand. He keeps repeating that word over and over again, and it's like, it makes me feel like he maybe doesn't understand what that word means. Because it's like, no, seriously. Short for conflict of interest, obviously. No, but like, here's the problem. You could say he's compromised, exactly. But there is no conflict of interest if he's just biased. You know what I mean? Like, because he keeps saying the judge is biased against me. So where would the conflict be? Does that make sense? Like, it doesn't make sense. Even from the most charitable approach and saying that like he has a conflict of interest or whatever, like that would mean that there is like a second. Like, what is the conflict there? He's not conflicted at all. There is no conflict of interest. He just hates you. And he's biased.
As far as the trial itself, it was very unfair. We weren't allowed to use our election expert under any circumstances. You saw what happened to some of the witnesses that were on our side. They were literally crucified by this man who looks like an angel, but he's really a devil.
I feel like you're conflicted, bro. It seems weird. The way he's talking about this shit.
He looks so nice and soft. People say, oh, he seems like such a nice man. No, unless you saw him in action. And you saw that with a certain witness that went through hell. And when we wanted to do things, he wouldn't let us do those things. But when the government wanted something, they got everything. They got everything they wanted. It was a rigged trial. We wanted a venue change where we could have a
we wanted a venue change. We wanted to go to Alabama We wanted to go to Missouri. We wanted to go to Mississippi. And it was rigged. They told me you can't do the crime in New York and then get convicted in Alabama. What's going on, folks? I'm kidding. I'm sure he wanted to just go to Albany, which is what usually they do in situations like this. When there is like a glaringly obvious act of like white supremacist police violence, for example, against a black person, immediately they're like, well, let's take this court case to Albany. You know? Why Albany? Upstate New York is much more conservative and much more white, not as diverse as New York City. So that the jury selection in that situation will favor whoever the reactionary is.
Fair trial. We didn't get it. We wanted a judge change. We wanted a judge that wasn't conflicted. And obviously he didn't do that. Nobody's ever seen anything like it.
How much are they paying you? Who is they? Oh, this is so good. We finally got the hogs back in, dude. This makes me so... Chat, you don't understand how happy I am when I see hogs in the chat. When hogs are back, I'm so happy. So much better than the annoying liberals. Oh my God. Election season starting early. Yeah. Greguki, we are excited to have you here. Please explain who you mean when you say they. Like, who do you think would be paying me other than you guys? Can you turn off your audio compressor when you burp, please? No. I feel like for Trumpers, never really stopped the political cycle. No, there has been so, dude, for quite some time, post-Trump getting owned in the electoral process, hogs just kind of died out in this community. And it made me so sad because I love them and they don't understand I love them. They don't understand that reality. I love them. I want to be around them. I want them to be in this community. I want them to come in and fucking chirp. I much prefer hogs to like liberal Zionist weirdos. I much prefer hogs to like annoying chirper woke scolds who come in to be like, when you burp into the microphone, it triggers my eating disorder or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, they're fun. God, I got too excited and he fucking left already. He's not saying, oh, there's layers of cake to it and you're one of them. Sent it twice because I don't see it on your stream. There's layers of cake to it and you're one of them. What does that mean? See? The mind of the hog, dude. What? Why are you talking like you're the Riddler? What the fuck? I mean, I am caked up. Come on, dude. Give us more. Give us more. Give us more.
Who is a failed DA. Crime is rampant in New York, violent crime. That's what he's really supposed to be looking at. Crime is rampant in New York. Yesterday in McDonald's, you had a man hitting him up with machetes, a machete. Whoever can imagine even a machete being wielded in a...
I love this line of argument. I love this line of argument because like he just keeps repeating like other crimes happening. Like he's just like, I can't believe they're convicting me when other crimes are happening. Your Honor, there are murders happening every day. Solid defense, dude.
Store in a place where they're eating and he's going rampant, and Bragg is down watching a trial on what they call crimes. They're falsifying business records. That sounds so bad. To me, it sounds very bad. You know, it's only a misdemeanor, but to me, it sounds so bad. When they say falsifying business, that's a bad thing for me. I've never had that before. I'm falsifying. You know what falsifying business records is? In the first degree. They say falsifying business records. Sounds so good, right? It means that legal expense, I paid a lawyer, totally legal. I paid a lawyer a legal expense. And a bookkeeper, without any knowledge from me, correctly marked it down in the books. A very professional woman, highly respected, she testified, marked it down in the books as a legal expense. So a legal expense, paid a lawyer, is a legal expense in the books. It's not sheetrock, construction, or any other thing. It's a legal expense. Think of that. This is what the falsification of business records were. And I said, what else are you going to call it?
Wait, what do you mean? Yeah, you did put it down as a legal expense specifically because you got Michael Cohen to pay for it. The fuck do you mean? Why is he? Yeah, you cooked the fucking books, dog. It was for hush money. You know that right-wingers have a lot of sympathy for allegations that the life-ruining consequences of our justice system are somehow flawed.
What else are you going to call it? Now, I would have testified. I wanted to testify. The theory is you never testify because as soon as you testify, anybody, if it were George Washington, don't testify because they'll get you on something that you said slightly wrong and then they sue you for perjury. But I didn't care about that. I wanted to. But the judge allowed them to go into everything that I was ever involved in, not this case, everything that I was ever involved in, which is a first. In other words, you could go into every single thing that I ever did. Was he a bad boy here? Was he a bad boy there?
I am a bad boy, baddest of boys. Yeah, it's really fucked up that the judge allowed them to call into question in front of a jury his character across the board, which is certainly never done in trial. Yeah. Definitely. That's never happened before. First off, first time for everything, folks.
And my lawyer said, what do you need to go through? And all you wanted to do is testify simply on this case. Because I would have loved to have testified. To this day, I would have liked to have testified. But you would have said something out of whack, like it was a beautiful sunny day and it was actually raining out. And I very much appreciate the big crowd of people outside. That's incredible what's happening.
What?
The level.
Wait, that's another cell report. He's saying, you're a serial perjurer. Sir, we can't have you testify because you're a serial perjurer. You would have just said some shit. Yeah.
Level of support has been incredible. So the whole thing is legal expense was marked down as legal expense. Think of it. This is the crime that I committed that I'm supposed to go to jail for 187 years for. When you have violent crime all over this city at levels that nobody's ever seen before, where you have businesses leaving, and businesses are leaving because of this, because heads of businesses say, man, we don't want to get involved with that. I could go through the books of any business person in this city, and I could find things that in theory, I guess, let's indict him, let's destroy his...
Whoa, chill, bro, chill. He's like, It's like, you don't understand. They're all criminals, which he's not wrong. Don't threaten me with a good time, sir. Fuck. Anyone and everyone. They're all doing it, folks. That's why they're running away.
Life. But I'm out there, and I don't mind being out there because I'm doing something for this country, and I'm doing something for our Constitution. It's very important, far beyond me. And this can't be allowed to happen to other.
Yeah. If this happened to me, it can happen to you too, folks. You could also be running for president and realize that there is a set up a catch and kill scheme with a local newspaper. And in the process, realize that a porn star that you had sexual intercourse with might come out and openly reveal it, which could potentially harm, in your own calculations, could harm your chances of winning the election. So then you can call in your lawyer, your fixer, Michael Cohen, to go and pay hush money so that she doesn't come out with her story. Happens to me, could happen to you too. Who amongst us has not paid? Who amongst us has not paid hush money to a porn star? I thought these people were woke. I thought they were pro-sex work.
Other presidents. It should never be allowed to happen in the future. But this is far beyond me. This is bigger than Trump. This is bigger than me. This is bigger than my presidency. And the people understand it because I just see a poll just came out, the Daily Mail. That was the first one, came out, was done last night right after the verdict, where I'm up 6 points. 6 points from what we already were. We were leading fairly substantially. We're up 6 points in the Daily Mail poll. Now, maybe other polls come out and it says something differently. But a lot of people have predicted it because...
Maybe I'm stupid, but I genuinely don't understand why this is illegal. You can't take campaign funds and pay off hush money for a porn star and then masquerade it as a... There's 34 different reasons why it's illegal. But you can't shelter public opinion from something that could have potentially changed the election outcomes. You can't take campaign funds and pay off your lawyer under legal fees when it's just simply paying off hush money. You can't lie to the public like that. Can't do anything. You mean like the Biden laptop? Yes, just like the Biden laptop. The Brandon laptop. It's illegal, folks. Like, there are so many different avenues where he could have conducted himself in a different manner. Where he could have, like, part of the reason why he got caught and like they made the argument that he did this specifically for the election, because like there was a previous very similar case in the past where I believe a former another politician, I forget who it was, had a similar situation where he said that he actually paid specifically and like cooked the books specifically because he wanted to shelter the truth from his family. Didn't you defend Biden's laptop though? Biden's laptop? Guys, Hunter Biden is not running for the fucking... Oh, God. Come on, dude. 153. That's 7 minutes early, bro. That's way too fucking soon. Many people are hitting top of the hour ad break debates 7 minutes before the top of the hour, not in the 5 minute I'm too hog horny right now. It is a weakness. 5 minutes. No. We have a 10-minute rule. Did that other hog respond? I think he left. Yeah, he just stopped talking. We got too excited. I think it was John Edwards. You can avoid those ads by subscribing for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime, folks. Believe me. Twitch Prime is free. You can also get gifted a sub if you are lucky by the likes of Motorface and Adrian is online, gifting 5 individual gifted subs. When is the sentencing? July 11th, 4 days before the Republican National Convention. Here's a 3-minute ad break now.
The public understands, and they understand what's going on. This is a scam. There's a rigged trial. It shouldn't have been in that venue. We shouldn't have had that judge. He should have allowed us to have an election expert. We had the best expert, most respected expert, head of the Federal Elections Commission. He was all set to testify. He was waiting for 2 days. And when it was his turn, Bragg's people protested. And the judge knocked him out, said, you can't testify. He actually said, you can't testify for anything having to do with the trial. You can say what the federal elections is. Well, that doesn't help. Everybody knows that. But you can't testify. So essentially, he wasn't able to testify. Other people weren't able to testify. But with these people, they were able to use people salacious. By the way, and nothing ever happened. There was no anything. Nothing ever happened, and they know it. But they were as salacious as they could be, and it had nothing to do with the case, but it had to do with politics. And do you notice the timing? The timing was perfect. This case was dead. It was dropped by every agency, every governmental board. It was dropped by the highly respected Southern District. They said, no, there's no case here. It was dropped by federal election, and that's what it's about. This is about a federal election, not a state election. You're not even allowed to look at it. They took the state and the city, and they went into a federal election. They're not allowed. The people from federal election, Southern District, and Washington dropped the case. Everybody dropped the case. There was no case. Cy Vance dropped the case. And when Bragg came in, he said, this is the most ridiculous case I've ever seen. And who would have a certain person, again, gag order, who would have a certain person like this ever testify? He said, this is essentially one of the worst people I've ever seen ever to testify. He said, the craziest case I've ever seen. This is Bragg. Then when I announced I was running for president, a long time later, they decided to revive this case. And they got a judge, Judge Marchand, who was responsible for another case that was also brought. It destroyed the life of a very good man, by the way. Destroyed the life of a very good man who went to prison once, and then they just put him in prison again because they said he lied. He didn't lie. I looked at the statements he made. In fact, he didn't remember something, and they put him in jail. Again, they've destroyed him. With me for many years, he was an honorable person. He was an honest man. And if you look at what he did, supposedly, it never happened. There's never been anything like this over the education of his grandchildren.
I think the guy he's talking about is his wasn't it his like accountant or whatever, or not his accountant, but his people are saying Epstein. No, dude. It's Alan Weiselberg, former Trump executive, who was sentenced 5 months in jail for lying for perjury. A retired executive in Donald Trump's real estate empire was sentenced Wednesday to 5 months in jail for lying under oath during his testimony in the civil fraud lawsuit brought against the former president by New York's Attorney General. Weiselberg, 76, was escorted out of the courtroom in handcuffs following the sentencing. It's the second time behind bars. The former Trump Organization chief financial officer served 100 days last year for dodging taxes on the $1.7 million in company perks, including because he changed his like compensation structure to like a rent-free Manhattan apartment, luxury cars, I think like paid for the schools or something. Like he changed his compensation structure and dodged 1.7 million in taxes. When Weiselberg pleaded guilty last month to 2 counts of perjury, the Office of the Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg made a legally binding promise not to prosecute him for any other crimes he might have committed in connection with his longtime employment at the Trump Organization. Weiselberg's plea deal also does not require him to testify at Trump's hush money trial, which is scheduled to start with jury selection on Monday. He accepted responsibility for his conduct and now looks forward to the end of this life-altering experience and returning to his family in his retirement. The two cases highlighted Weiselberg's unflinching loyalty to Trump, the presumptive Republican presidential nominee. The governor of Wisconsin has already declared a state of emergency over the RNC. So many people here in Milwaukee are worried about how this is going to amplify the shitstorm heading our way. I can't decide whether or not to leave during those days. Dude, are you kidding me? I kind of want to go to it. I feel like that's like the best. That's when the going gets good, dude. The hogwatch will be unimaginable. Oh, think of the content, dude. I will be going to the DNC for sure. That's the hog safari, bitch. Trump's family employed Weiselberg for nearly 50 years. It gave him a $2 million severance deal. When the tax charges prompted him to retire, the company continues to pay his legal bills. Weiselberg testified twice in trials that went badly for Trump, but each time he took pains to suggest that his boss hadn't committed any serious wrongdoing. He's a real loyal guy. Too scared to head out to Naperville when you're in Chicago, I bet. Oh yeah, I got shooters out in Naperville. Anyway. There's no way this guy didn't narc on Trump. No, I think he literally lied for Trump. So the stream not hitting like it used to. Scroll up, it's jank. Are you okay, dude? Oh my God, Hillary Clinton, live Hillary Clinton reaction.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Anything going on today? Thank you.
Oh my God. Lock her up. Lock her up, folks.
He didn't report that he had a car or 2 cars on his income. I don't know. I wonder how many people here have cars. I wonder how many people said, oh, gee, I have a car that's worth X dollars. How do you even figure it? And I guess you do have to report it, but I would say probably almost nobody does. Nobody even thinks about it. They put this man, they destroyed this man, but they put him in jail again because they didn't want him to testify. They didn't want him to testify. That's why he went to jail. They put him in jail twice. He's 77 years old. Now, normally I'd say that's an old guy, but I don't feel 77. Nobody ever says that about me. I'd like them to say, gee, we have to have a little sorrow for this man, because they just don't say that about me. But maybe I'm better off that way. I think I'm probably better off that way. But they put him in jail twice. And you have to see what they put him in jail. And he was threatened by the judge. This man was told, you're going to get 15 years in jail if you don't give up Trump. And he was told that. You're going to get 15 years in jail. And he made a plea deal because he didn't want to spend the rest of his life. And he was told that viciously. We're living in a fascist state. He was told that viciously. So you can go to jail for 4 months, 5 months, or you can get 15 years in jail. So do a plea. Almost who wouldn't do that plea? Everyone does those pleas. It's a horrible thing. There's a whole group of lawyers that fight that. It's so unfair. It's so unfair. But they destroyed his life. So many other things. You look at Southern District didn't want to bring the case. Nobody wanted to bring the case. And then you know who didn't want to bring the case most of all? Is Bragg. Bragg didn't want to bring it. But then he
didn't
brought
want to do it.
And they tried to make it a different case. They didn't say legal expense.
Why are people so determined to defend this motherfucker despite how horrible a person he is and all the shit he's done? Genuine question. Like, I seriously can't comprehend it, because they're horrible too. And they're horrible in a similar way. And he does a phenomenal job of being like the beacon of anger. They can all just like relentlessly support and cause him to vent all of their frustrations about liberal Democrats ruining the country. That's it. He is their god because he owns the fucking libs. He owns them so thoroughly. And that's the real reason why he's going to prison, folks. I mean, he's not, but imagine if he did. That'd be awesome.
Equal legal expense. Again, if I wrote down and paid a lawyer, and by the way, this was a highly qualified lawyer. Now, I'm not allowed to use his name because of the gag order. But, you know, he's a sleazebag. Everybody knows that. Took me a while to find out. But he was effective. He did work. But he wasn't a fixer. He was a lawyer. You know, they like to use the word fixer. He wasn't a fixer. He was a lawyer. At the time, he was a fully accredited lawyer. Now, he got into trouble not because of me. He got into trouble because he made outside deals, and he had something to do with taxi cabs and medallions, and he borrowed money. And that's why he went. And then he pled to three election violations. And as soon as I saw that, I said, I wonder why he did that. He pled. He took a deal. Now, he took a deal because he wanted to get off. In other words, I'll take a plea deal and I want to get off. And he wanted to make a deal with the Southern District. And they wrote the worst report I think I've ever seen on any human being, other than the report that was written on James Comey by the Inspector General, a very great Inspector General, actually, wrote a report that was so bad. This one was possibly worse. The Southern District, the judge didn't let us use it. He said, it's hearsay. I said, it's not hearsay. Wouldn't let us use it. This is about the man. But he got in trouble for a very simple reason, because he was involved with borrowing a lot of money, and he did something with the banks. I don't know if it's defrauded the banks, but something happened. You guys know what it is. And then in addition to that, he gave up on three things where he wasn't guilty. In fact, they were going to testify in that. The head of the FEC, the Brad Smith, the election expert, #1 rated in the country, was going to testify. He took a plea on three things. He just added them in because that gave him more bargaining power with respect to me. But the three things that he pled on, having to do with the election and having to do essentially a little bit with me, they weren't crimes. They weren't crimes. Nor is paying money under an NDA. So we have an NDA, non-disclosure agreement. It's a big deal, a non-disclosure agreement. Totally honorable, totally good, totally accepted. Everybody has them. Every company has non-disclosure agreements. But
what was it for? What was it for, though? I just can't remember what it was. If you could refresh my memory. Who was getting the hush money? The non-disclosure agreement money? And what were they not allowed to disclose? I just can't remember. I just cannot remember what it is, what it was. I feel like that is kind of, just interesting.
But the press called it slush fund and all sorts of other things. Hush money, hush money. It's not hush money. It's called the non-disclosure agreement. And most of the people in this room have a non-disclosure agreement with their company. It's a disgrace. So
That's
it's
so
not
funny. Like, he's talking about it. He's talking about paying off a porn star to not reveal that they had sex right before an election, as though it's like you're working on proprietary tech and you don't want it to be revealed to your fucking competing corporations. You know what I mean? Like, my penis, it's proprietary, folks. If the other real estate moguls found out what I do with this penis, you best believe it, they'd use it too. The way I move in the bedroom. It's just a normal NDA.
not hush money. It's a non-disclosure agreement, totally legal, totally common. Everyone has it. And what happened is he signed a non-disclosure agreement with this person, I guess other people, but it's totally honest. You're allowed to make the payment.
Why won't he just? It's just weird when he wants to like address the issue. It's funny when he wants to address the issue, but can't specifically name names. Partially because of the gag order. For the record, this is a consequence of the gag order. In some respects, and also because like if he were to talk about the actual details of the situation, people are gonna be like, wait, what? Like he's just reminding people that he fucked Stormy Daniels and then tried to silence her before the election. Which is, of course, also doubly funny because he has denied having sex with her as well.
You don't have to make it. You can make it anyway.
Why even bother paying her? Would anyone even care if he fucked her? That is another incredible question. And the answer, which makes it even funnier, is that no, people objectively would not care. Because we now know, he didn't even have to fucking do it. He personally thought people would care at the time, clearly, because they literally, in private conversations, openly stated, he said, wait until after the election and then we won't even need to pay her. Which is a direct way to prove that this was for election reasons, okay? Just hold off on paying her until after the election and we won't have to pay her. Still confused why she even agreed to sign it, though? What do you mean? What? Get the bag, son? What are you talking about? Money. Hello? Who wouldn't want that bag? Are you kidding me?
What you want? It's a non-disclosure.
Yeah, are you? First of all, she deserves it, okay? For fucking this thing? I mean, come on. What are you going to do? Not milk it? Yeah, she worked hard for that shit. Secondly, I love that you said Melania would care. Okay.
And he signed that. And there was nothing wrong with signing it. And this should have been a non-case. And everybody said it was a non-case, including Bragg. Bragg said, until I ran for office. And then they saw the polls. I was leading the Republicans. I was leading the Democrats. I was leading everybody. And all of a sudden, they brought it back. It's a very sad thing that's happening in our country. And it's a thing that I'm honored. In a way, I'm honored. It's not that it's pleasant. It's very bad for family. It's very bad for friends and businesses. But I'm honored to be involved in it because somebody has to do it. And I might as well keep going and be the one. But I'm very honored to be involved because we're fighting for our Constitution. The money that was paid legally. There was nothing illegal. In fact, the lawyer in creating the NDA, because at that time he was a fully accredited lawyer. He wasn't a fixer. I never thought of him as a fixer. The media called him
Okay.
a fixer, or the prosecutors.
Who's the lawyer, man? Who are you talking about, dude?
Called him a fixer. He was a lawyer, and he was fairly good. Later on, I didn't like what he did. I didn't like, for instance, I didn't like that when I became president, he went around and made deals with companies. When I heard that, he was gone. He was gone. And he had payments coming to him, and a lot of this involved things that are very simple. There was nothing wrong. This was standard stuff, all standard stuff. Everything involved was standard. There was no crime here. In fact, I just watched a couple of the reports. You watched Jonathan Turley, Andy McCarthy, Greg Jarrett. You look at all of these people.
All the best of the
Mark
best.
Levin, all very talented people, great people. Many more. And they don't know me, essentially. They don't know me. They're legal scholars and experts. But I look at them. I watched Turley this morning saying, there's no crime here. Everybody says there's no crime here.
Okay, let's get into the details of it a little bit because I feel like we haven't really discussed the nitty-gritty. Okay? So, former President Trump's conviction in New York stemmed from a $130,000 hush money payment to his attorney, Michael Cohen, which Michael Cohen made to adult film star Stormy Daniels in the days before the 2016 election. Prosecutors said the deal was meant to keep voters in the dark about Daniels' allegation that she had sex with Trump years earlier, which he denies. But the actual charges that Trump faced were far less salacious and dealt with the comparatively mundane paperwork that was generated for when he reimbursed Michael Cohen for the payment. 34 counts of falsification of business records in the first degree, which is a felony in New York. He pleaded not guilty when he was arraigned last year. So here's how the story starts. In 2017, Cohen and Alan Weisselberg, an executive at Trump Organization, reached an agreement about how Cohen would be repaid for the $130,000 that he sent to Daniels in exchange for her silence. Weisselberg detailed the calculations in handwritten notes that were shown to jury at trial. Cohen would receive $130,000 for the Daniels payment, plus $50,000 intended for a technology company that did unrelated work for Trump. That amount was doubled to account for taxes that Cohen would have to pay on the income. Weisselberg then tacked on an extra $60,000 as a bonus for Cohen, who was upset that his regular year-end award had been cut. The total worked out to $420,000. Okay? Cohen would be paid in a series of monthly payments of $35,000 over the course of 2017. The first check was $70,000 covering 2 months. Cohen sent an invoice to the Trump Organization for each check, portraying the payment as his retainer. Every time he was paid, a bookkeeper generated a record for the company's files known as a voucher with the description legal expense. The first 3 payments were made from Trump's trust, while the remaining 9 came from his personal account. Each of the 34 charges against Trump corresponded to a check, invoice, and voucher generated to reimburse Cohen. The prosecution laid out the charges in a chart that jurors saw several times during the trial. Prosecutors said Trump knew the payments were to reimburse Cohen for the Daniels payment, not for his legal expenses. The jury voted to convict on all 34 counts. How say you the first count of the indictment? Guilty, the foreperson responded, repeating the answer 33 times. Under New York law, the falsification of business records is a crime when the records are altered with an intent to defraud. To be charged as a felony, prosecutors must also show that the offender intended to commit another crime or aid or conceal another crime when falsifying the records. In Trump's case, prosecutors said that the other crime was a violation of New York election law. That makes it illegal for any two or more persons to conspire to promote or prevent the election of any person to a public office by unlawful means. What exactly those unlawful means were in this case up for the jury to decide. Prosecutors put forth 3 areas that they could consider: a violation of federal campaign finance laws, falsification of other business records, or a violation of tax laws. Jurors did not need to agree on what the underlying unlawful means were, but they did have to unanimously conclude that Trump caused the business records to be falsified and that he did so with intent to defraud that included an intent to commit another crime or to aid or conceal the commission thereof. Trump's defense was that they were paying Cohen not because of the Stormy Daniels hush money payment, but instead that was just like regular old legal fees, which is wrong. It's just a lie, right? And that the descriptions on the invoices and records were accurate. Cohen held the title personal attorney to the president once Trump took office and was being paid for his legal services under an unwritten retainer agreement. Therefore, the argument went, no business records were falsified. Except the problem is, Michael Cohen openly did say, no, this is for hush money. And also, there was enough evidence to show that it was definitely for hush money, including, but not limited to, the handwritten fucking note